welcome back. Welcome back. I am back from Gen Con and had a great time. So we are back to the apple turnover gang. We need to finish up, you know, what was going on at the end of the last adventure. We had succeeded. Huzzah! Yes, everybody was very happy, very relieved to have managed to survive. We have a little bit of money, not too much in the way of items to sell, but a little bit of money, and we did get some experience, so and the characters did level up. So we did get 50 experience per person for succeeding. Unfortunately, the captive died because we rolled that horrible 4 on 3 dice, including re-rolling 1 die, which was unfortunate. So really at this point we just need to roll for corruption for the Darkstone, and then the characters leveled up, well, which is going to be pretty exciting. So we're going to need to see what sort of advancement that the characters are going to get. So let's start with their corruption. So the first thing is at the end of the adventure, Pete, because he's got the ribbon, he can remove 1 point of corruption. He had 3, so we're going to go ahead and take one of those off from him. Good. So now we need to roll for Darkstone. So we'll go ahead and start. We can start with Pete. So Pete has 1 dark. This is the way I've kind of split it up. Try to even it out and lessen the load a little bit on Doc, hopefully, because he has the best. He has the best willpower, the best sanity. So he should save these, and he did have 1 grit at the end of the last session. So for re-rolling those saves. So he's got the Fallen Gunfighter's pistol, which has a Darkstone icon, and I gave him 1 piece of Darkstone. So let's see if those give him a corruption hit. 1 does, so he will have to make 1 save. 4+, he fails, so he gets that point of corruption back. Alright, let's save Doc for last. So Béchamel, I gave her 2 pieces of Darkstone to carry. She has 1 corruption currently. So let's see if either one of those causes her corruption hits. She does have 1. And she gets her willpower save, which she fails. That will get her another point of corruption. Sorry about the reach there. Alright, now last is Doc. So Doc has 8. He has 8 pieces of Darkstone. We're going to have to see how many of those are potential corruption hits. And that is 5. 5 potential corruption hits. So he'll need to make 5 willpower saves. He's got 1 point of corruption, so as long as I don't fail 4 of these, and of course with the grit. But with the 3+, alright, so he takes 2 points of corruption. I got a little bag of corruption here. So he takes 2 points of corruption, so he's up to 3. So we are getting up there a little bit in corruption. We're probably going to need to spend a fair amount of money on getting rid of corruption if we can next town stay. So what is left? Well, hey, let's level up the characters. Alright folks, so let's go ahead, let's kind of start. We'll go on the bottom up because kind of interested in what Béchamel can get. So let's start with Pete the Cowboy. So here's his upgrade chart. Let's see, I don't know if you can see it very well. This is getting kind of a strange darkness over here. But there's his track, you know, the chart to roll on. So let's see what happens to him as he's level up. So this is his first level up. Cannot use grit. He gets a 6, +1 cunning or +1 spirit, and he gains a d6 health and sanity any mix. Nice. You know, given the number of spirit tests I've ended up making, so +1 cunning would put him up to 4. He doesn't really need cunning. 3's pretty good. And, you know, it's not like he really needs, you know, it's not like agility maybe, so if, you know, if I get a trusty pistol, you know. So let's go with, we'll go with +1 spirit. That'll put him up to 2, and that'll give him a little bit of a bonus there. And then let's see how much health or sanity he gets. 6. You know, he is a, let me move this over. He is a 14 health, 12 sanity. You know what? Let's do, let's keep it fairly even, I think. I'll leave this to you because I don't think it's going to make a huge difference for the town stay. I think I'm going to go 3 and 3. But if you guys, you know, have a suggestion, if you guys really want me to, you know, pump up the health or the sanity, again, he's 14 health, 12 sanity right now, 4+ save on each. I don't know about pumping up sanity over health, but I could certainly see maybe doing like a 4 health, 2 sanity to put him up to 18 and 14 rather than a 3 and 3. You know, I'll play around with that thought too, but if you guys, you know, think more, you know, definitely more health over the sanity, let me know. And you know, I'll probably go with that, you know, with what you guys suggest. I am okay with more health. I do think I want at least 1 point of sanity, additional sanity. But you know, I think maybe a 4 and 2 might be better, or simply the 3 and 3. So nice, perfect. Can't get much better than that. So now his upgrade charts. So let's see if you, I don't know if you guys, how well you guys can see this. We're actually really only looking at the first line here anyway. Oh, that's probably just, it was just the angle I was looking at the camera lens, or, you know, the screen on. So first we have on the range. So living off the land, he gets double experience from scavenge and can roll 1 extra die when scavenging. Also for each scaven card drawn, heal 1 wound or sanity. You know, I'm not a big scavenger, but that actually could make scavenging, you know, useful for Pete, because at least he heals, so even if he gets something bad, he gets a bunch of extra experience and he can heal himself. Nice, and that's for each card drawn. Alright, so Thrill Seeker, living on the edge. While you are at half or less of either your health or your sanity, your Rough Rider ability triggers on 3+ instead, or 2+ if both. So that Rough Rider ability is the Recover a Grit at the start of the turn if he has no grit. So that's nice. Obviously only if he's you know, hurt. So let's take a look. Fisticuffs. Take a swing. Once per turn, he can use a grit to make a melee attack using his basic combat with no items, in addition to his normal ranged attack. Well, hey, 2 extra dice. It's not great, but not too bad, I guess. And then Show Off Line, Fancy Rope, and anytime you rope an enemy with lasso, gain 10 experience and recover a grit on the d6 roll of 4+ and +1 initiative, which would put him up to 4. Woo! I like that one. So the other thing to look at is what is farther down the line. So on the range, looks like he gives +1 damage on all attacks versus tribal, outlaw, or beast enemies, plus 25 experience for each kill, and +1 max grit. Very nice. Close companion. When you have a transport animal, it must be named. You are 3+ willpower. Nice. Okay, increase in willpower. And then what's the level 4? Because remember, you can only have 1 level 4. While you have 4 or more clothing items equipped, including a hat, you are defense 3+. Outstanding. Outstanding. It's not hard, especially when you get up to, you know, 5th level, to have 4 pieces of clothing. So, you know, he's already got, I think the bandana already, you know, counts as a piece of clothing. You know, we do have a lucky hat, but he'd probably grab something else. That's not a big deal. So, that is a nice line. Willpower 3+ and defense 3+. Pretty easy. It's not hard to get a transport animal either. and then some extra damage on tribal, outlaw, and beast enemies. That is a good line. I'm not a big fan of the fisticuffs line. We'll kind of skip over the other one first. You know, that extra melee attack. This isn't bad. +1 combat, +1 strength, and +1 move. And that does play into the take a swing because it's off your base combat, no items, but that increases your base combat by 1. You know, but that's not, you know, not necessarily great. Once per turn, he can use a grit, so this is another grit usage, although he does recover it, but only at the start of each turn. So it's not like the marshal where he can recover grit for killing enemies, you know, and kind of, you know, get a bunch of grit going on. Use a grit to use your strength value instead of rolling as damage for a combat hit, and that gives +1 max grit, which isn't bad because your strength is +1 and it starts at 4, so that's a 5 damage. It's like roll, you know, forcing a max of 5 damage, a 5 damage roll. And then Pale Rider, you may now use your Rough Rider ability to recover grit as long as, oops, sorry, this is getting kind of bent here. There we go. Okay, Rough Rider ability to recover grit as long as you only have 0 or 1 grit at the start of the turn. So basically, it allows you to do it if you have 1 grit now. So you can potentially get, you know, try to keep a max of 2 grit. It's an alright line, but that I don't think is how I'm building Pete. Pete's going to be kind of a dual wielding, you know, not that I necessarily mind taking a rifle with him, but yeah, he's more of a dual wielding kind of guy. So melee's not that big. So what does Thrill Seeker do? What does the rest of this line do? So we have Brash Heroics. Once per fight, use a grit to do d6 wounds, ignoring defense to both yourself and 1 adjacent enemy, and +3 health. Well, extra health is never bad. And doing a d6 wounds to an enemy, ignoring defense, can be huge. And it is once per fight, and it's a grit. But it does do wounds to yourself, and granted, I think if I would take that, I would want to probably take all 6 of what I rolled in health and put him way up to 20. If I wanted to kind of go this round, I would want to maximize, you know, his health a bit, so you could use that more often without having as much danger. Okay, and the deadlier the better. +1 max grit and +1 strength. +1 strength. I mean, he's already at 4. That's really only going to matter for, you know, carrying capacity, which, I mean, he's already got plenty. I think 7's usually pretty good. And +1 max grit, which is, max grit is never bad, but, you know, he's a guy who's going to want to, you know, stay at 0 a lot so that he can try to recover more and get that free grit. Not that it worked very well for me in the last adventure, because I couldn't roll to get grit very much anyway. But, you know, down this line, you recover on a 3+ instead of a 4+ once you get higher up, or, you know, once you get hurt a little bit. And then Who Wants to Live Forever? You gain +2 shots with a single-handed gun, or +2 combat you choose during your activation for every horror hit you took from Fear, Terror, or Unspeakable Terror this turn, the maximum of +3. Ooh, that is a very curious skill, and I like it. There are an awful lot of enemies that cause fear, terror, and unspeakable terror in this game. And it does, you know, obviously predicate, you know, yeah, it doesn't even mean it's only for the horror hits you took, not even for failing them. So that is a very good level 4. The question is it worth going up this line? Because remember, we can only, is it worth going up that line just to get that? You know, is it better than getting a 3+ willpower and a 3+ defense, plus the extra damage? You know, I can get up to level, you know, I could go down 2 lines and get a 4 and a 3, in which case, you know, this 4 and this 3 aren't bad, but missing out on the defense 3+ is going to be a hard call. And then last is the roping line, which we did like the lasso, right? So we had the fast roping, or the fancy roping. So now we got the fast return. I wonder why this looks like it's just not working right, and I apologize for this kind of bouncing around. Not trying to make you guys nauseous, I promise. You might now use the lasso up to twice per fight, but only one enemy may be roped at a time, plus 1 agility. Ooh, I like that. I liked that lasso. Be able to use it twice per fight, but only one enemy can rope at a time is nice. So once they break out, you can rope again. I like that. I like that. And then the rope said you get a little bit extra experience, and you can recover grit when you rope somebody. And the plus 1 initiative is nice. That'll put them to 4, which will be pretty good. Shake it off. At the end of any turn while KO'd, use 2 grit to recover it without rolling for injury, and then he heals 2d6 as normal, plus 1 strength. That's to me, that's kind of mediocre. I'm hoping not to ever have these characters KO'd. Not that it always works. Obviously, we did have one mission adventure where we were KO'd, but I am hoping to not have him KO'd at all. So that's just really plus 1 strength, which again, strength is just used for carrying, really. I mean, he's already got a 4, so increasing it. I mean, that's usually pretty good enough for skill tests. So increasing it higher, and it's not like it increases melee damage or really anything else. So not that he does melee. All right, but let's see, what is this last one? Level 4. Giddy up. Once per fight, use 1 grit to mount an adjacent large or bigger enemy. Sharing its full base, while mounted, you may not be targeted by that enemy. And the enemy has -1 defense. At the end of each turn, pass a strength 6+ test or dismount to an adjacent empty space. Well, that's an interesting one, and I'd say I think that's fun and funny, but I don't know. And you do get the plus 1 strength, so that is where the strength will help, certainly, to keep him on. Because it's going to be a strength 6+ test. Now having 5 dice really would make that more likely to stay on. And so giving an enemy -1 defense and not being able to be targeted by that large or larger enemy could be huge. But he's also the tankiest of the characters, although he's obviously, he said not the melee character, but the doc is. But he starts with the highest health. We're already planning on kind of keeping him more health. So I don't know if that's worth it. So if we look the long lines, so the first 2 of that show-off line on the far right are pretty good. They're both the roping with the lasso, and I like those, and I think those are probably worthwhile getting. I'm not a big fan of that 3rd line, the fisticuffs line. Plus 1 move for the bar fight is good. And using the grit for damage for a combat hit, and the max grit isn't bad. But again, I don't really want to do combat hits anyway, so that's, so I think we can rule out that 3rd line. So if we think about what we can do, again, we only have 7. And those 4th line powers are pretty good. This is going to be a tough choice. As much as I like the idea of like going a 4 and a 3, down some of these lines, basically the first 2 lines, and try and decide maybe like 4, going here and then going here for the plus 1 max grit. I am liking the 2 roping ones. So what does that mean? If I go 4, 5, 6, 7, that means I'm missing out on the heroics, right? The plus 3 health and use a grit to do d6 wounds, ignoring defense to both yourself and adjacent enemy. And I think I'm okay, because this one, the deadlier the better, isn't that huge. 1 plus 1 max grit. I mean, don't get me wrong, that's nice. You do get a max grit here, but again, he's probably going to be pretty low. I'm probably going to spend the grit a lot anyway. And the strength, if I'm not using it for something like Giddy Up, where I know it's going to be a strength 6+ test. Although the lasso, I believe, does require a strength test. So there is that. And I'm not a big fan of the first one here, living off the land for the scavenging, because again, I don't do a lot of scavenging. I mean, it'll help him a little bit to recover, and that's probably the only reason why I would do it. Is if he's wounded or taking some sanity damage, he would scavenge just to try to heal, right? +1 damage is always nice. So +1, granted, it's limited to tribal, outlaw, or beast. But you know what? And it also gives a max grit, and every little bit helps. And then, of course, transport animal gives you willpower 3+, and then defense of 3+, and that will make him super tanky. But I also do like these, the roping, the 2 roping. So I think my first choice is going to be this fan. I think I'm going to go these 2 ropes first. Let's get his lasso up. The +1 initiative and the ability to recover grit when you lasso somebody on a d6 roll of 4+. That gives him an additional chance to get grit, and I am a big fan of grit. And then the fast return, so he can lasso twice. And again, that then also applies to getting more grit. So that is my plan. Let me know what you guys think about the choice. Do you really want me to push down, the line for Thrill Seeker or on the range? I think we can rule out Fisticuffs line. But if you think I should go for one or the other of those first, let me know. But as it is right now, I think I'm going to go for the fancy roping. That's what Pete's going to be good at. He's going to be doing the roping. So we're going to let him recover a grit and get some experience when he ropes somebody. +1 initiative puts him up to 4. So he'll be even with Doc. Well, actually, Doc will be 1 ahead because he has the lightsaber. So he is a 5. But more initiative is better. Although, granted, most enemies are going to have a high enough initiative that it won't. A 4 initiative is still too slow in general, but still, every little bit does help. There are the occasional ones that don't, and more importantly, he can recover a grit every time he lassos somebody. So it's once per fight he gets a free attempt to recover a grit, in addition to his Rough Rider ability at the start of each turn if he has no grit. So that is the plan for Pete. Excellent. 1/3 of the way done. I know this is going to be kind of long because of this. Doc. What are we going to do for Doc? So here is Doc's chart to roll on. If you care. So he's got a specialty at 12. So he got some explorer notes. Let's see what he gets. He gets a 7, which is plus 2d6 health and sanity, which would be very nice. So let's see how much he gets. He gets 11. He gets 11. That is like doubling something, because he's at 12 health, 12 sanity. And of course, I think we need to spend a lot to health, because he's got the 3+ willpower, and he's going in melee. He's only got that 5+ defense, right? So he's going to need a lot of health. But we get 11 points. I'm still just flabbergasted at that. Oh, so yeah, I'm thinking like 9. Put him up to 21, and put like 2 points insanity. Put him up to 14. Let me know what you think. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I think that's we'll do that. Make him a beast. He's rolling into melee. So let's see what we can do with that. And said he does have the 3+ willpower, so he can skimp a little bit on the sanity. Unlike Pete with the 4+, I kind of wanted to split a little more even. But I think that's pretty huge. Letting him do that. But let's look at his upgrades. Look at his upgrades. Alright, so let's look at the first one so we can figure out kind of if there's anything good. So triage, whenever you heal wounds from another hero, recover a grit on the d6 roll of 4+ and +1 max grit. Holy crap. I love it. I love it. You know, we've been using him as the primary healers, you know, for bandages, pass him, you know, because he gets that extra +3. Now he gets the chance to recover a grit every time he heals somebody, too. That's another, you know, from another hero, not himself. And that also gives him an extra, you know, a max grit. That's great. Science, ingenuity. Once returning, we use the effects of a side bag token. You may use 1 grit to roll a d6. On the roll of 4+, do not discard the side bag token. Well, that is really nice, especially if you combine it with triage. So if he uses a bandages or an herbs, bandages probably, he can attempt to get a grit. Then he can spend that grit to roll a d6 and not use the bandages. Nice. That is a pretty nice combo. I know, I'm getting excited about this. Jeez. Antidote. Use a grit to let every hero on your map tile choose to discard all poison markers or discard 1 corruption point on a d6 roll of 4+ and +1 roller. That's not bad, but I think it pales in comparison to the other 2 so far. And then the research dissection. Once per turn, when you kill an enemy with a combat hit, which we're certainly going melee, so that would be him, recover a grit on a d6 roll of 4+ and +3 sanity. Don't really need the +3 sanity, but when you kill an enemy, get a grit on a d6 roll of 4+, yes please. And again, I already said earlier, I like getting grit, and I like abilities that get grit. Not that I normally play characters that particularly get a lot of grit through abilities, but it is very, very useful. So 3 of those 4 I really like. I really like for Doc, and they all fit in pretty well. I would say of the 3, the ingenuity for science, if you use you know, a side bag token, spend a grit to not discard it, is probably sort of the weakest, but you kind of need to, you know, combine it with something that generates grit, like the dissection or the healing. Well, let's kind of look down the lines then. I don't know about the field. I think the fieldwork line is probably the weakest and probably the toughest one to go down. But let's see what comes up farther down. So we got treatment. So, you now gain 10 experience instead of 5 for each wound healed. Not a huge difference. Again, we're kind of splitting everything just to make it easier for me. But, you know, that's still essentially kind of doubling the experience that the whole group's going to get. Also, once per turn, you can remove 1 status marker from yourself or an adjacent hero, which is nice. So, burning, poison, etc. This makes the ingenuity not quite as necessary. What's also down here? Dispassionate. You're immune to the enemy abilities of fear and terror and +1 combat. Ooh, especially since he goes into melee and is often adjacent to enemies that cause fear and terror. That is very nice, you know, and extra combat ability. And then heal thyself. You automatically heal 2 wounds at the start of every turn. You're also able to use field surgery on yourself now. And +1 strength. He only has a strength of 2, so +1 strength will be useful for carrying more items and getting, you know, being able to wear armor and things like that. So that is a very strong line. Extra max grit, ability to recover grit from healing people, being able to remove a status marker, immune to fear and terror, and healing 2 wounds at the start of every turn. I think is just really nice. And that means more likely that he'll be able to use his bandages on the other people and not necessarily need to use them on himself. So what do we got in the second line? So we had the ingenuity. Chemistry. Use a grit and discard any 2 different side bag tokens to try to create dynamite +1 max crit. Dynamite's fun, but you notice I don't use it very often. So, you know, to me that's kind of mediocre. Which, you know, it means this line was already kind of the weakest of the 3. I felt that I was kind of interested in, and this being even, you know, weaker. Not necessarily a big fan of going down this line then. What else do we got? Tinkerer. Use 2 grit to add the following upgrade to an item you're carrying. Gadget. 1 slot. This item gains a keyword tech and grants +1 health or +1 damage if a hand weapon or gun. Well, now that is nice. 2 grit to give +1 damage to a hand weapon or gun, filling 1 slot. That is nice. That is nice. Now, not too many. I mean, right now they're not really anybody. I mean, Pete's got his starting pistol, and I guess the breaching gun of Béchamel does have 1 slot, but I think we needed that for range because its range of 4. Can be difficult to work around, although, you know, they do want to also kind of stay close to Doc as well for his healing. But that is an interesting one, and not necessarily bad, but I'm not sure. I like it, but I'm not sure. And the last one, Gadgeteer, once per fight, you can add a number of damage to one of your hits equal to the number of tech items you are currently carrying. Max 10 and +1 cunning. Now, that's nice because it's a free add damage, and you know, going down this line, he would be able to take Tinkerer and add either hit points or damage to the things he's carrying. You know, to the any weapons he's carrying, which right now, I guess the Holy Book actually is +1 combat and it has 1 slot, so it could also be +1 combat, +1 damage. Not bad. And then a few more hit points from clothing items. But the important thing is +1 cunning. Remember, Tools of Science is going to give him a number of combat dice equal to his cunning. Right now it is 4. So anything that ups his cunning will be great because that gives him an extra combat die. But is it worth going down this entire track? You know, I'm not as big a fan of chemistry, and the ingenuity is kind of so-so. Or, you know, it's still nice, but it needs to be kind of combined with other stuff. I don't know. I don't think I'm even going to look down that. Well, let's look down that third line, actually, now that I look at it. Second one down, so because, you know, the first one was the antidote. Okay, we use 1 grit to let every hero on your map discard you know, a poison, you know, marker, or remove corruption. Okay, nice. Everybody can discard corruption. You know, that's not a bad thing. It does require using a grit. Next one down, +1 combat and +1 strength. Well, +1 combat, not bad. +1 strength. I forgot he does have the gloves, which give him +1 strength already. So he has a 3 strength. You know, 4 strength. Again, it's mostly for carrying. There's not really, unlike even Pete with the lasso, you know, the strength isn't necessarily as important. But he does, you know, especially, you know, if he's going to think about doing something like going down this line where, you know, he'll probably want to get a whole bunch of tech items on himself. He may need to carry a bunch of stuff. But what else do we have? Do no harm. There's no longer a penalty for a 1 result when using field surgery. And +1 luck. I mean, the field surgery is alright. It means it doesn't remove 1 health permanently if he tries to heal an injury. But again, I'm hoping not to have to injury. And, you know, I can always go to the town doctors. So that's I think. And then Explorer. Well, in another world, you roll 1 extra die on all skill tests, and at the start of your activation each turn, you recover a grit on a d6 roll of +4+ and +1 max crit. It's not bad. It's not bad, but again, and this is just personal to me, you know, I tend to avoid other worlds because, well, honestly, playing by myself here, I tend to forget. You know, there with so many rules and everything to keep track of, and talking to you guys and trying to, you know, make something sound halfway intelligent. I don't know that it's, you know, doing the other world, keeping track of their special abilities, even with the card right in front of me, is not something, you know, my eyes just kind of pass over it because I'm busy thinking about stuff. I'm not even necessarily seeing what, you know, what I'm looking at. So I've been trying to do avoid other worlds unless the mission specifically sends me there, because there are some certainly that I have done and will continue, you know, to do. You know, so that's not, you know, it's not a bad ability. As I said, anything that lets you recover a grit you know, and this is at the start of the turn, regardless of how many you've got. And, you know, and having an extra max grit, and extra dice on all skill tests is pretty good too. That is a good, you know, it's a pretty good level 4 ability, but is it worth going down that line? Well, you know, the second one's not bad for the +1 combat, simply because he is a melee. But the other two are kind of meh. I mean, especially the third one, that do no harm. No penalty for rolling a 1 when using field surgery. We do also have Béchamel, who can, you know, use her fortune to push, you know, to try to save a fortune to push that up to prevent that. So I don't think that's not necessarily as necessary. So let's look at this fourth line, the research line. So the second one is careful study. You are +1 on defense rolls against. Oh geez, why is it suddenly seem so dark? There we go. You're +1 on defense rolls against hits from enemy types you have encountered before. Make a note of enemy types encountered, and +1 agility. Okay, this may be completely necessary for him with his 5+ defense. Now, the question I have is, is this against hits from enemy types you have ever encountered, or only encountered in that mission? This doesn't say in that mission, just that ever encounter that you have encountered before. Make note of enemy types encountered. So it sounds to me like that's ever encountered. So nice. So then that basically gets rid of. That basically makes him a defense of 4+. So that is going to be very nice. So what was this first one? You kill an enemy with combat hit, you recover a grit on a d6 roll of 4+, and it gives you a little bit of spanning. All right, so this is a very nice line so far, in my opinion, for Doc. What's this third one? Anatomy. You get critical hits on hit rolls of 5+ against enemy types you've encountered before. Whoa, that is outrageous. That is so good, I think. Critically on 5 or better. And then, well, what's the last one? +1 cunning, +1 initiative, and defense 4+. It means he's basically got 3+ defense when combined with the careful study. And then the +1 cunning, which we already talked about, you know, him needing cunning for when he gets the tools of science. And then +1 initiative. So I think it's probably without a doubt we need to get the 4 here. So the question is, what other 3 do we take for him? That is going to be tough. We could do something like the antidote and then hold them down to get the extra combat. That would give us like 1 point to take like triage. Alternately, he could do on this healing line, get triage, treatment, and then dispassionate for the immune to enemy abilities of fear and terror, and another +1 combat. You know, of course, he gets the +1 max grit. Yeah, you know, I didn't really... This second line for ingenuity and chemistry and the tinkerer, I'm not as big a fan of those. I think that's the plan. I think Doc's going to go down this research line. You know, and also take this healing line down 3, and those are going to be the 2 lines he's going to do. So the question is, what do I take first? Do we take the when he kills an enemy with a combat hit, he gets to recover a grit, and he gets some extra sanity? Or do we take when he heals wounds to another hero, he can try to recover grit, and he gets +1 max grit? Max of 3 grits, never bad. And he does heal a lot of wounds. But I think going down the research line first, simply to get that defense up, and of course the criticals and stuff. So I think that's going to be my plan. Let me know what you guys think, if you guys have a different opinion. But I think the plan for Doc is we're going to go all the way down this research line. I'm not sure. All the way down this fourth research line there, and then, or at least part of the way down. It might be worth taking the healing early at some point too. So I might take that. I might take the dissection and then the triage, get, you know, sort of his max grit up and 2 grit generators, and then go down this line, and then kind of end up, and so at level 8, that's when he gets the immune to the fear and terror and plus that extra +1 combat. So I think that's the plan. So I think research will do the dissection, so when he kills an enemy with a combat hit, he gets to recover a grit on the d6 roll of 4+. I think that will be his choice. So now we're on to Béchamel. What are we going to do for Béchamel? Well, first let's look and see what her dice roll options are. So, of many talents, start of each adventure, she can choose a keyword to have until the end of the adventure, and town stay. Interesting. And then, you know, Darkstone resistance and so on. So let's see what she gets as she levels up. A 7, a d6 health, and a d6 sanity. Nothing too huge, but considering she's 10 health, 10 sanity, I think that is probably a great start. Now let's just hope we get decent rolls. So what is her extra health? 5. Nice. She gets 5 extra health. So that puts her to 15. How much sanity does she get? 1. She only gets 1 sanity. That's unfortunate, but health tends to go down faster unless you're doing the derelict ship. At least so far, in my experience. So having that extra 5 points of health will be extremely useful. So now onto the gambler abilities. Again, this is going to take a little while because this is the first time we're, you know, any of us are looking at, well, at least I am, and that I am showing you their abilities. So I'm talking more about them and kind of what the plans are. So next time we level up, we probably won't go into too much in depth into this, but saying that. So we start out, well, you know, here, what are our level 1 abilities? So first, tricks of the trade line, nimble fingers, new gambling trick, and +1 agility. New gambling trick's not necessarily bad. Extra agility is not really necessary. I mean, she's only a 3, but you know, that's all right. New gambling tricks could be useful, but I like the 2 we've got right now, and I don't really recall what all the other tricks are. But I've only got so much fortune, and you know, the 2, one for re-rolling and one for you know, pushing adjusting numbers by 1 per success of luck, a 5+ luck test. I'm actually pretty good with just both of those. So unless there would have to be something really special as far as a gambling trick to you know, really make me take a look at that. So maybe I'll take a quick peek at those once I'm done looking through all these charts with you. The chart with you, and see if there's anything I think is worthwhile in there. But I think that's probably a no. But what else? And we'll have to see what else is down that line too, of course. On a roll, whenever you kill an enemy, you can recover 1 fortune token and +1 move. Well, that is perfectly just awesome to be able to recover fortune token. Now, that said, she is going first most often, especially because she has the breaching gun to soften people up by using the stun. So she won't necessarily be killing people, especially once Pete and Doc get a little bit more powerful and are start able to kill things a little bit better, right? And we start getting some Darkstone bullets and things like that. Well, at least for Pete, you know, that extra damage. So she might not necessarily be killing stuff. She might be, but she also might not be. Civilized. Well, I say, once per adventure, you can recover fortune tokens up to your max +1 lore. Okay, so that is a nice one. Again, being able to grab those fortune tokens is going to be very, very useful. especially at the end of the end of the game when we're doing the final fight, and being able to adjust some of those boss hits and things like that, or even their own damage. Sorry about the waving of the sheet. And then what do you have left? Card Shark, play to win. Your Poker Face ability now gives bonus D6 plus 2 times 50 instead. It also gives an extra unwanted marker and +1 max fortune. Well, +1 max fortune is good. I'm not, an extra money for gambling is good, but I'm actually more concerned, you can get money. You can get money, you just go down into the mine. Just do another session. You just can be patient, right? Just go kill more stuff, because you're going to be going in multiple times before you level up anyway. And getting an extra unwanted attention marker is not all that great. So going down that line's not necessarily the greatest idea. Let's see what's down each of these lines now. So the first line, so tricks of the trade. Tell. For each 2-hit roll of one enemy rolls when attacking you, you can cancel one of their other successful 2-hit rolls on you, and +1 max fortune. I like it. And that is a good defensive ability. So even though this first one, new gambling trick, isn't great, necessarily great, although it could be, again, I haven't seen really looked at the other gambling tricks available. That's a pretty solid. I think that's a pretty solid. Obviously, you depend on the enemy rolling ones to attack you, but that's going to be, I think, a handy one. And then the third one down is another gambling trick and +1 cunning. Cunning's all right, for gambling, but it's not a huge deal for him or for her. And then what's the last one? Make your own luck. You start every adventure with a revive token usable only by you, and +1 luck. Okay, well, if having an extra revive token isn't a bad thing. We already have one being a 3-person group, so that gives us essentially 2, one for her, and then the other 2. But hopefully, we won't need to use the revive tokens, more than one revive token. Again, I don't know how good the gambling tricks are. Do I really need 2 gambling tricks? 2 new gambling tricks? I would have to peek through them. So let's finish going through this. That will kind of tell us, if there's something else that we kind of like here. So the second one down this line is, because we really like this one, kill an enemy, you can recover a fortune point, and +1 enemy. Boxcars, any team roll a 6 for willpower, defense, or any skill test. You may change any other single die on that test into a 6 as well, and +1 initiative. Again, nice. I like that. So far, these first 2 I really like in this line. Again, it still predicates that you roll multiple dice, and you roll a 6 in there. So which may not be, but being able to get a second one into a 6 plus the extra initiative, that will put her up to a 6 initiative, which will let her go before a lot of people. A lot of the enemies, or at least a number of them. And there are things like, I don't remember what it was, but things like scavenging. But I don't scavenge a lot. But there are other skill tests that say, for each 6+ or 5+ you roll, you get a loot card and things like that. So being able to do this. And that's actually, it's still going to be a possible free save, right? So you can change any, a 1 or a 2, on your willpower or defense rolls. So that's, saving you that damage. Nice. All right. What's this? Blow for luck. Once per turn, you can spend a grit to recover 1 fortune or vice versa. And gives you +1 fortune, max fortune. That's okay. Grit is more powerful individually. Well, I don't know how you obviously, you guys know what the difference between the grit and the fortune is. The grit can reroll a large number of dice, and the fortune only does 1 die. But the fortune can be used on dice for other people, not just on yourself, and the grit can only be used for herself. But you know, that's still not a bad. That's still not necessarily a bad trade. I would really like for her to be able to recover a grit. I wish one of these would let her recover grit, because oh, but it does let her. Ooh, actually, that's perfect for her. I was just thinking about that. It actually, this is recover a fortune or vice versa. Okay, she took the ability that says whenever you recover a grit, you can also recover a fortune. So she can spend, once per turn, she can spend a fortune to recover a grit, which gets her a fortune. So she can get one free grit every turn. She can get one free grit for every turn because of her starting skill, her high roller skill. Because whenever she recovers a grit, she also recovers a fortune. So she spends a fortune, recovers a grit, recovers a fortune. Nice. Okay, so these first three are working great for her. Let it ride. Anytime you roll 4 or more dice together, you may choose any number of those dice to re-roll once. So that's kind of like a free. They do not count as having been re-rolled either. So that counts like a free grit if she rolls 4 or more dice. Now the downside is obviously like her gun only has 2 dice. The breaching gun, the shotguns that we're kind of going for to get her, you know, 6 or you know the for her high roller rolling 6 or more to get +1 damage, aren't going to have a lot of dice. So she's not going to get 4 or more dice for those. But for skill tests and things like defense tests, things like that, getting a free grit to re-roll those will be really nice. Not necessarily a level 4 that she needs to go to, right? I think the first 3 are definitely ones that we probably really want to go. The 4th one, I mean, that's not bad, getting a free grit for 4 or more dice. And she can still use a grit or a fortune to re-roll those. But I don't know, you know, if that's as, you know, powerful if there's something else, you know, like a level 4 or other things that we want her to get. All right, well, what's this third line? I'm talking way too much, and this is taking way too long, and I apologize, but, you know, these are just some of my thoughts, and we'll have to see about this. Civilized. So we did the well say, once per adventure, you can recover fortune up to your max. That was a pretty nice one. Affectation. At the start of each adventure, draw a random personal item to use until the end of that adventure. That's nice. That's nice. The personal items, you know, they don't weigh anything. Some of them can give really good bonuses. You know, free rerolls for various things, healing to max, you know, things like that. You know, in fact, her ancient coin lets her fully heal her health once per adventure. So things like that, you know, having another personal item could be really nice. So, you know, neither one of those are bad. Fancy pants, your +1 sanity and +1 health for each of the following clothing items you have equipped. Blah 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 blah. Sorry about that. Hat, belt, coat, you know, pants, torso, gloves, boots. But you may not stay at the campsite in town. Well, I always stay at the hotel just because I don't want to end up rolling for hazards. So that's not bad. You know, it's only +1. Well, it's +1 +1. You know, so it's going to be a max of +1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. +7, +7. Still not bad. I don't, you know, it's not a wow per se, like, you know, some of the doc lines, you know, the doctor's line, but that's still not too bad. What's this? Entourage. You only need to pay 50% of the base cost to hire for any allies hired. All items and tokens in town cost you 20% less, rounding up to the nearest $5. +1 fortune. So being able to buy really cheaply. Okay. That's nice. And +1 fortune. So that's not a bad line. That civilized line. I still kind of like the roll the bones line better. But these are, you know, a pretty close second, I think. All right, what about this last card shark line? So, you know, the first one was for gambling. I don't, you know, it was all right. But, you know, again, as I said, money will get money. You just have to, you know, go. You may have to go in the mines an extra time, right? Cutthroat, you add +1 shot and +1 damage to any light gun you use, such as a holdout pistol, and +1 max crit. Interesting. Wow, so she could dual wield light guns, and the light guns would be +1 shot and +1 damage. Rather than, say, using like a shotgun. Now, but the high roller, I don't know. That might be interesting. I'd have to look and see what kind of light pistols, you know, light guns there are. I don't know that that's necessarily, not really kind of what I'm thinking about for her. I mean, again, we kind of decided, or, you know, at least I did, you know, to go shotguns, to go with the high roller skill. So being able to roll a 6 or better. And I don't think there are any light guns that roll like a D8 to hit. Well, so what do we have? What do we have next? Full house, +1 cunning and defense 3+. Well, cunning's not really a big deal, but certainly defense 3+ is huge. You know, so that's a good solid skill. What's the fourth one? Sorry about the. There we go. Focus. Ace is high. If your cunning is higher than the enemy's initiative, you are +1 to hit on your hit rolls assigned to that enemy. And 6+ obviously is a critical hit. Well, so that would work, you know, to help with the light guns. The downside is the maximum is 6, and so it's not going to be often that, you know, again, especially a lot of the later enemies, their initiative is going to be higher than 6, equal to, and so she's not going to be able to get her cunning higher than the enemy's initiative, because again, with the FAQ, you know, basically limiting, you know, all of the skill stats to a 6. So hold on a minute. Let me go look at the gambling tricks, and then see if there's anything that I find interesting. Okay, so you know, I looked. There are a couple ones that are kind of interesting. There's one that lets her, you know, double her damage, which would be nice with her breaching gun. Spend a fortune to double her damage, but if it doesn't kill the enemy, the attack does no damage. But considering, you know, she's using a shotgun, conceivably, you know, she could be doing, you know, 14 or 16 wounds to an enemy. Potentially even, you know, ignoring defense as a critical hit. So that could be useful. There's also a couple card manipulation ones where she can spend a fortune to look at the top 3 cards and discard one, which could be very good for Growing Dread or Darkness cards, especially. But I don't know that I feel that it's worth it. So here's what I'm thinking. So we were looking at these lines. So we liked all 4 of this second line, with the fourth one not necessarily being feeling necessary. This second line wasn't, or this third line wasn't too bad for the once per adventure recover grit, the affectation getting the personal item, fancy pants getting us a little bit more healing and sanity, and the entourage for being cheaper. And you know, this last line, really the only one that I thought was all that interesting was the +1 cunning defense 3+. I don't think any of the other ones will be that useful for Béchamel. This first line, you know, I did kind of like the tell. So if they roll a 1, you can cancel one of their other ones. And the make your own luck, the fourth one, but I'm not sure about the gambling tricks, and I don't think she really needs the agility or cunning. So I'm kind of at a loss. I think I definitely want to go down this roll the bones line all the way to 4, and then nothing's really jumping out at me for the other 3. I think maybe the first one of civil. I'm actually thinking maybe just these 3 civilized for, you know, the recover fortune once per, you know, max fortune once per adventure, the extra personal item, and the extra health and sanity from clothing items. Well, I really think that's kind of what I want to do. You know, you guys can certainly tell me if you think different. So let's go ahead and go with. I'm going to go with the Well I Say though. Once per adventure, recover her. You know, the third line one. Recover up to her max. Her fortune tokens up to her max, and the +1 lore. I think I'm going to start with that one. And then, before I take that, I'm actually going to come down, I think I'm going to come down this line here, the third line. Well, except, if we get this blow for luck, remember that was a free grid every turn. So no, you know what? No, we want to get to that, I think, as quickly as possible. So let's go with honor roll as what she's gonna get now. We'll get the box cards, we'll get the blow for luck, then we'll grab like Well I Say, and then we'll have to decide whether we want the Let It Ride or the affectation, you know, to kind of do. So there you have it, folks. As far as leveling up, that is what we're going to work with for now. Let me know, you know, again, most of that's just going to matter for the next adventure. So if there's something you really don't like, you let me know, and you know, I'll think about it. I'll you know, hear your arguments for it or against it, and then we'll decide what we want to, you know, which direction we want to go. I do value your input. Everybody thinks differently. You know, I know talking to some people at Gen Con, they were like, you know, they actually told me, you know, hey, I love hearing you explain things because, you know, that was completely different from what I thought. You know, something that I would do. So, you know, and that is why I kind of explain things. This is what I'm thinking, and you know, I am not always right. And, you know, of course, this isn't necessarily about right or wrong. You know, it's about the characters and what we think might be the, you know, the best course for them. I really like the idea of lasso for the cowboy. I kind of like using that lasso. So, you know, I really like the giving him the extra lasso stuff. You know, Doc, we're making him a melee guy. And, you know, being able to, you know, dissect people, or being able to and using the heal wounds, you know, is a nice thing. So, you know, that is the thing. She does, you know, being able to recover the grit, you know, a free grit every turn for Béchamel, I think would be nice, because then, you know, she, you know, can do more things. She can spend her fortune more on the others, and she'll still have grit to help herself. So those are thoughts. Anyway, let me know what you think. So I spent way too much time on the leveling up. Let's get to the actual town, and let's see what we can do in town. And hopefully you're still with me and not completely bored. All right, hold on. All right, folks, here we are. Let's travel. Large town, as per usual. So let's see if we have any travel hazards. We know we're going to have at least 3. So let's see. 1 for Béchamel. Is there another one? There is not. Let's see if there is another one for Doc. There is. Is there another one for Pete? There is. All right, so we have a total of 5 travel hazards. So again, let's do red is high, is the first, you know, the tens digit. Again, hopefully I will read the dice correctly this time. So that is a 54. This is the first one for Béchamel. Alright, we have an army convoy. Traveling the roads, the heroes come upon a massive U.S. Army convoy heading towards the same town to reinforce the outpost there. When the heroes reach town, any rolls on the campsite hazard chart or the town event chart are +1 to the roll. Excellent. That's nice. We got 2 for Doc. So a 65 is a Gulch Ambush. Traveling through a dusty gulch, you get a bad feeling, but it's too late. Feathered arrows whiz past your head as a savage group of Black Fang tribe Indians descend from the cliff tops, hungry for Darkstone. Each hero must make an Agility 5+ or Lore 5+ test. If passed, gain 25 experience and you're able to evade. If failed, you're knocked to the ground. The Black Fang scavenge your belongings for Darkstone. Lose D3 Darkstone or one item with a Darkstone icon. Also, you lose all grit. Is that worth Pete trying to cancel it with his 1 grit? You know, I don't think so. It's a 5+ test. I think we'll be okay. So let's do Béchamel 3 dice for her agility, needing a 5+. She fails. Well, you know what? She will spend her grit then to re-roll that. I did not change that, so she actually does still have the two grit. Oh, she fails. Well, that sucks. So she's going to lose a D3 Darkstone, unless I decide to spend a fortune, which she did have 1 fortune left over, and you know what? I don't think she recovers fortune at the start of town. She starts with 3 each adventure, but nothing else. You know what's not worth it. So she spent that, so she's going to lose a D3 Darkstone. She loses one Darkstone, and she already lost all her grit, so not too bad, I guess. Doc has a 3 lore as well, and he succeeds. And then Pete has a 3 lore, and he succeeds. So could have been worse. We just lost 1 piece of Darkstone. And then Doc has a second travel hazard, a 66. Traveler on the road. During your travels, you'll encounter a strange stranger along the road. This result may not be re-rolled or canceled. Roll once on the chart below to see what type of stranger you've run into. Rolling on this chart also may not be re-rolled. Ooh. Let's see. A 2. 1 to 2 is the Scarlet Shadow. Before you see it coming, the stranger draws on you and you see his face is covered in a red bandana. Any hero in the posse that is keyword outlaw or that has 4 or more corruption points. No, we have 2 people with 3 and nobody is a keyword outlaw. We have Performer Showman for Béchamel, Frontier Medical for Doc, and Frontier Showman for Pete. They would immediately lose D6 times $50. If none of the heroes lose gold like this, all heroes can recover up to their maximum grit. Well, thank you, Mr. Shadow, for that. And that was the 2 for Doc. So let's find the 2 for Pete. A 34. Burning farmstead. Pillars of black smoke rise in the distance, and as you approach, you discover farmstead in ruins and ablaze. Screams call out from the fiery inferno. Each hero can decide to turn away or brave the burning building to look for survivors. If you enter the building, make a strength 5+ test to move through the burning flaming debris. If failed, you are singed by the fire and must flee. Oh, in fact, I should take it back. So, Béchamel gets a fortune because she recovered grit as well. From the Scarlet Shadow. If you fail, take D6 wounds, ignoring defense to carry over to the next adventure. If you pass, gain D6 or 25 experience and roll a D6 to see what you find. Doc's got 3 strength. Béchamel's only got 2. I don't think Béchamel wants to do it. Pete does have a 4 strength. We get some experience. We can conceivably increase his health and sanity by 1. You know what? We're just going to pass on by. As bad as it sounds, you know, it could be a trick. It could be a trick. You can't be too careful this day and age. So what's the second one for Pete? A 46 is a wrecked train. The twisted hulk of a wrecked train fills the valley below, mangled and half buried in the rubble and debris. It must have jumped the track or been forced off. Looks like it has been here a while. Each hero can decide to pass it by without giving a second thought, or climb down to look for something useful. If you climb down, make a Cunning 5+ test. If failed, you exhaust yourself, discard any grit you have. If pass, roll a d6 to see what you find. On a 1, you get a madness. Otherwise, we get some money and possibly an artifact. So that is going to be well worth it, I think, to do. And Béchamel has 2 fortunes you can use to try to avoid the madness on the table. So everybody I think will start. So Béchamel has 5 cunning, because it's 4 + 1 for the looking glass. Using a 5+ test. And she well succeeds that. So what does she find? 3. She gets a d6 times $50. So nice. So she gets 250. 250 sounds good to me. Doc has a 4 cunning. He fails badly. Let's spend a grit to re-roll all of those, and let's change those dice out. Bad dice that they are. There, he got the success that he needed. So let's see what he gets. He gets a 3, so he gets a d6 times $50. Alright, so that is going to be 150. You know, every bit we get helps. We have a lot of corruption to get rid of, and we really do want to try to get those tools of science for him to give him all those extra juicy combat dice. And Pete needs an upgraded second pistol as well as an important thing. And speaking of Pete, so Pete only has 3 dice for his cunning. Oh, and Béchamel gets another fortune, I forgot, because anytime she makes a cunning test, she gets a fortune. So Pete fails. He'll go ahead and spend a grit to re-roll those, and again, change out those dice. Their luck has been used. There you go, and he succeeds. So let's see what he gets. A 4. That is still something shiny. So no artifacts, but a fair amount of cash. So again, another 250 in cash. So from here, what else do we do? Now we need to go to town and actually get into the town. So we need to see what kind of town it is. Is a specialty town, perhaps? We'll roll 2d6. A 5. A 5 is a rail town. So let's see, what does a rail town give us? Simon says, a rail town. So there we are. Here we are, folks. You can kind of see. Alright. So many towns on the frontier are connected by a rail network of rail lines with trains bringing fresh supplies, fresh faces, and news from back east on a daily basis. So, fresh supplies. At the start of every day in town, each hero can draw a gear card that has a special deal you find offered by a street vendor. This card may be purchased by that hero for its listed value plus $100. If not purchased, it is discarded. Okay, well that's nice. But we're drawing 2 daily event cards each day in town. Rail travel. When finished in town, you can take a train to a different area. If rolling randomly for your next mission, you could roll twice and choose. I pretty much choose anyway. And you start the next adventure fully healed in both health and sanity. Well, so if we happen to get injured, during this town stay, we still get to start full. Now, extra options we can do is send a telegraph. Okay, make a luck test, 4+ test. If passed, you receive a reply before your town stay is over, gain +1 sanity. And that can only be once per hero per town stay. Costs $50, but +1 max sanity, not bad. Or rob the train, which none of us are outlaws, so we cannot do. All right, well that is an interesting day. So we're going to spend our $30 to stay in the hotel. Although, you know, the travel hazards, actually the camp hazard is simply +1 at this point. So what does that mean for us? For the camp hazards site. If we stay at the camp, I've never really stayed at the camp. So you roll once on a location event before using the services at the campsite tents. So, oh, that's just the tents. Because, you know, I haven't really stayed at the campsite. So what does that do? Well, you know what? Let's just stay in the hotel. I'm not worried about the campsite. So, again, daily events then, because that's what we're gonna start. We're gonna start with 2 daily events for the day, and here they are. So first we have wounded soldiers, probably from that army convoy that was coming in. The town was filled with wounded soldiers that marched in this morning. Hey, yeah. Each hero can give up your day in town to help the wounded. Make a lore 3+ test and gain 10 experience for every 3+ rolled. If you roll at least 1 6, you can also draw a gear card as a dying soldier passes it on to you. Nice. So a whole bunch of gear cards. That's probably something worthwhile to do. And then it's just another day in town, but it's a specialty town, so we're going to have to roll for the Railtown event. Let's see what's the Railtown event. Is a 4. Oh, they'll pay. The local rail baron tightens his grip on the town. For the rest of this town's stay, gear cards cost an extra $100 each. Okay, yuck. But, yes, gear cards. That does remind me that we need a gear card drawn for each hero to see what they are offered. So, hey, let's go ahead and see. We'll go ahead and see again, but it is going to be plus $200. So that will be fairly expensive, and we don't have a huge amount of funds at this point. We don't really even have anything to sell. We will need to gamble. So I think Béchamel's, well, we will... Oh, you know what? The town's empty. Hey, duh. Let's see what buildings are in town before we go thinking about what we're gonna do in town. I can't believe I completely forgot to populate the town. I guess it's good I did it now before I decided I was gonna go to any locations with any of the heroes. What do we got first? We have a doctor's office, which will be good. We can go get some corruption done. We have a general store. We need a blacksmith. We have a lot of darkstone. Of course, we could just sell all the darkstone, and that is also something to think about. We have a gambling hall. That would be good. Béchamel can go gamble. But we do have a blacksmith. Excellent. So we can consider getting some upgrades. We do have a saloon for some more potential gambling. And I think actually I like the saloon gambling better. We have a church, which could be useful. We have a mutant quarter, which won't be as useful. I don't think there's anything in the mutant quarter we really want. And then last we have a smuggler's den, which we could conceivably buy some artifacts and stuff and see what their deals are. But I'm not going to worry about that as of yet. So we do have the 3 gear cards, right? And you know what? I'm gonna kind of, where should I put them? I'll try to move them, I guess, over on the left side there each day. So Béchamel, what is her item? She can get a Far Eastern potion for $200. Actually, 2 potions for $300. Doc can get a sawed-off shotgun, but it is outlaw only. So that doesn't help us. And Pete has the option of a Scafford pistol. Range 8, 1 shot, plus 1 shot for each mutation you have. Limit of +3. Interesting. I don't think we want any of those today. So, what do we do for today? I think... Well, you know, for all these gear cards, like, you know, if we did this, you know, we're getting free gear cards from the Wounded Soldiers. You know, these cards are worth $425. That's probably going to be more than she's going to gamble with. And, of course, gambling gives us unwanted attention. I think the first day we're just going to spend with the Wounded Soldiers. Everybody's got a... Well, not everybody has a good lore. But nothing bad happens if you fail. Pete and Doc have a decent lore. Actually, they're all 3 lore. Because I forgot, Béchamel has the coin, which gives her 1 lore. So yeah, first day, they're all gonna help with the soldiers. They feel bad for leaving the farmstead. They're all gonna go help with the soldiers. We've got some grit. And Béchamel is maxed out on her fortune. So let's go. Béchamel needs a 3+ test. She succeeds. It's 10 experience for every 3+ rolled, and if 1 6s, so she gets 30 experience, and she does get a gear card. So let's see what they give her. She gets an old map. Not worth money, but useful for redrawing encounter or map cards. So if I get one of those pesky hallways, corridors, we can discard that. Or if I get that really nasty growing dread encounter token. Alright, Doc. Doc's got 3 dice. 3+, so he gets 30 experience, plus he did roll a 6, so let's see what he gets for a gear card. He gets a Scafford hat, which gives him +1 initiative for each mutation he has. Not something we're going to want to wear, but it is worth $850. So that is definitely, I think, something we're going to sell. All right, well, let's do it. I just happen to be drawing all of these Scafford gear upgrades. All right, and then Pete. What are you going to do, Pete? Pete, he gets 30 as well, and he gets a gear card, which is a Holy Charm. Discard this item to prevent all damage just done to you by demon or undead enemies, or discard this item to re-roll any single die, adding +1 to the roll. It doesn't cost anything. I mean, it could be useful. It doesn't have any weight, so I guess it's something to hang onto. Although it is worth $350, so that might be something, you know, that we're gonna wanna sell just to try to get money, and try to get, again, Doc that. Well, I think we're still pretty far away from getting him the tools of science. But we could get Pete conceivably a new pistol, right? A second pistol that does, you know, 3 shots instead of the basic pistol that he's got. Or we do have the Darkstone, and that is a question too. What can we do? We getting the extra range for the breaching gun, or we could put something on potentially the Holy Book. I don't remember what the blacksmith gives other than the Darkstone grip, but unfortunately the Darkstone grip now requires 2 slots, which, I mean, he could put on his basic pistol to make it 3 shots, but I don't know that that's worth it. Probably better to just buy buy another pistol. We'll have to see what we've got. But that is the end of the first day. So let us see if we have a town event. We do not, so we'll go ahead and advance that. And then we're going to pay another $30 because there are 3 of us. And then, yeah, I think. Well, you know what? We can't wear the Scafford hat, so we'll go ahead and pay 850. We'll go ahead and get the 850 for that Scafford hat. And what do we do? What do we do from there? How much money do we have? Add everybody together. We've got 1,000. 2,000. And 200, 300 and something. So 2,300 and something. Well, let me take a look. So first thing is, we do want to cure corruption. So to cure everybody's corruption is 2, 3, 4, 5, like 600, 700. So that's going to be a big chunk. But Béchamel can also gamble and get a little bit of extra money. How much are the tools of science? 4,800. So we will not be able to get the tools of science this turn. We'll still need to gonna need to keep keep working towards that. So the question is, we could go to the smuggler's den and figure out what kind of black market goods there are, which is probably a useful thing to do. Before I do that, we have 2 new town events for this day. Remember to do that, and we're going to get new gear cards this day. It's the start of every day in town. So what are our 2 events? Let's take a look here. We have heavy rain. Oh, you know what? Oh yeah, we didn't go to a location, so we didn't roll for location. So all location rolls are -1 to a minimum of 2, and we have just another day. So we're going to roll on the Railtown events. Let's see what we get. A 2. News travels fast. A telegraph comes through the line from a neighboring town. They are under attack, and the demonic swarm is headed your way. Move the darkness marker 1 space forward on the town event track. Okay, so it moves it up to a day 3. Alright, that's, not horrible. And then we get 3 new gear cards. See what we get. Oh, there is a tomb chest, which is not bad. That is going to be 700 though. And we do have a blacksmith, so that's not a big deal. So we do have, and we have a tonic for 200. And then we have a Jack of Hearts +1 luck, and anytime you draw nothing here, scavenge card, gain 25 bucks. So that might be interesting for Béchamel, to get her luck up even more for, doing her fortune ability, her trick of adjusting dice. Is it worth $350? That is a good question. But none of those are really jumping out at me. So let's see what we can do. So Smuggler's Den, we might be able to do some artifacts, right? So that could be useful. But going to town, going to these locations are dangerous today. We don't have a... So we have the gambling hall, where she could do craps, which is a luck test, or the poker. I actually prefer the saloon for gambling, though. But doing a cunning test for the 5-card draw poker, she does have a 5 cunning and grit and stuff, and she can adjust dice. She does have 3 fortune, so she actually could be really good at doing the 5-card draw poker, which might be a fun thing to try using her fortune for. So I think maybe she'll go, yeah, to get us some more money, right? So she needs to keep at least. We'll let her keep at least $100, because it's 50. Oh, and you know what? She keeps 200, okay? Because it's 50 to play the poker, and she can actually do 3 times per visit, but assuming she's going to get some, and then 100 for the craps. So let's do that. So she'll go to the gambling hall this turn, and then she'll go to the saloon maybe next turn and get a little bit more money. I don't think there's anything at the mutant quarter that we want to buy or do. We don't need any mutations. Don't really need to purchase any items. I mean, we could get the rail handle. That's a 2-handed weapon. We don't want to use a 2-handed weapon. Yeah, there's nothing at the mutant quarter that we want to pick up. The blacksmith. What can we get at the blacksmith? We could get some plate. No, that's too expensive. A tomb chest for 600. Yeah, and that tomb chest is going to be... So, yeah, I think we definitely want a tomb chest to carry around. What kind of upgrades can we get, though? Because, again, Béchamel's got the breaching gun. So how much is the barrel? The barrel is 225 and 6 darkstone. Okay. So she, we can have her give the breaching gun to somebody else. Let them upgrade it with the darkstone barrel to give it a range of 8, which would be handy. So she doesn't necessarily need to do that. Or is there anything else worth? I mean, she get a void assembly as well. We don't have 15 darkstone though. Is it worth using 6 darkstone? Yeah, we don't necessarily have to get a tomb chest. Yeah, you know what? Let's get the barrel equipped to the breaching gun. Yeah, see, now that the darkstone grip costs 2, and the only other option would be yeah, and it's 2 for the dark. Wait, is it 2 for the darkstone inlay, or did that drop down to 1? Now let me look at the errata. I was like, it's 2 for the reroll of the darkstone inlay. But then I was like, wait a minute. I know there was another one that was upgraded. Obviously, the kind of important thing that was changed was the darkstone grip was changed. But which one was it that was actually changed for in town besides that? So hold on for a minute. Alright, yes, in fact, the inlay is 1 and not 2 anymore, and the darkstone grip is 2. So the inlay is once per attack with this weapon, you can re-roll a single to hit. So that's 703 darkstone. So I think that is well worth it on the breaching gun. Gets 2 shots, and it can re-roll 1. That will save her fortune/grit. So I think that is what we're going to do. Somebody's going to take the breaching gun. We'll let it be Pete. Pete will take her breaching gun to the blacksmith to get it upgraded. So we'll make sure he has 3 of the darkstone to do that. And then meanwhile, he will also... oh, and we actually do want darkstone bullets too. So let's take 2 more. We'll get darkstone bullets for both Béchamel and Pete. And then we'll give him a bunch of money. We might as well get a tomb chest as well. So he's going to need some money. So he's going to need 700 and 600. So he's going to need 1,300. That's going to use up a large chunk of our current cash. So we'll give him 1,500 to go check. and see and do those. So yeah, Darkstone bullet, 2 sets of Darkstone bullets, a tomb chest, and a Darkstone inlay for Béchamel's breaching gun. Alright, so that is what he's going to do. Béchamel's going to go gamble. What is Doc going to do? Well, what else do we have available? We have the church. I don't think there's anything at the church that he might want to do. I mean, he could banish corruption, but it's a d6 minus 2, and if he doesn't remove any, he's going to take sanity damage. Not really something we want to do, and there's really nothing to buy there. He's already converted. I guess, I mean, he could get, you know, some holy robes. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing else really that he wants to do. I mean, not really worth buying anything else there. What else? We have the doctor's office. He could go get his corruption taken care of, and buy some more bandages. And yeah, we do need to get replacement bandages and a little bit of whiskey. We have, in fact, 1 bandage, 1 whiskey, 2 whiskeys. We do have 2 whiskeys. So, picking up some more bandages might not be bad. So yeah, we'll send Doc to the doctor to get that out of the way, I think. Yeah, I don't think there's anything else to worry about. No. Yeah, is there anything that Pete might want to pick up? As far as weapons, you know, there's really nothing as far as weapons that are really what we are able to pick up or want to pick up. We do have the Smuggler's Holdout Pistol, which is range 3, 3 shots. Oh, that's a free attack once per fight, though. Yeah. Alright, I was just thinking, hey, we do have that one gambler thing that's, you know, for light pistols, but, yeah, you know, those are just, like, free attack items. I'm not as impressed with the light guns. I don't know that that's the way I want to go. Yeah, so, I mean, there's a Gunfighter's Pistol, range 7, 3 shots, 1 upgrade slot, which is alright, I guess, for a pistol. I mean, it's a slight increase. It's an increase in range of 1, right? Over that, but nothing, you know, not really what we want to deal with. I don't think there's any place where we can actually sell Darkstone either, because I think that's the street market or the Frontier Outpost. Neither of which we have. So I guess it's a good thing we're going to spend a little bit of Darkstone and get a tomb chest. So that is what we're going to do. Oh, sorry, I need to figure out what Pete's going to do. You know what, Pete will take, I guess, the rest of the money. So Doc needs at least, you know what, we need the, well, no, he can still go to the black market and see what's there. Well, let's figure out what he can carry as far as, sorry, Doc, I mean. What he can carry as far, oh, so no, Doc was going to go to the doctor's office. Duh, we had already decided that's what we're going to do. We'll save the Smuggler's Den for next turn. We'll see how much money Béchamel can make. I am rambling way too much. I apologize. Well, let's start with Doc at the doctor's office. So what happens at the doctor's office? Remember, we are -1, in fact, so that is a 9. An expert surgeon, so surgery attempts are +1. Not a big deal. So all he's going to do, let's pick up, bandages are 50 each. We're going to pick up 4 bandages. I think that'll be good. 4 bandages. That gives him plenty. He can hold 5 bandages in his side bag, and he gains 3 bandages. So we'll put 2 in the doctor's bag, and then he'll be full up. He's got an extra 3 that we can then give to Béchamel and Pete. All right. And that's all he's going to do. Right? That was, oh, and then he wanted to spend 300 to heal up his 3 corruption. So we spend that, and then what happens when he treats his corruption? D6 roll, 1, 2, or 3. He's going to take some wounds, but he does not. In fact, we're going to heal up, so it doesn't really matter. Because the train ride lets us heal up. So perfect. You know, Doc's got a little bit of money left, not a lot. And hopefully Béchamel can make us some money. And if need be, we can sell that Holy Charm for another 350. Alright, so let's see what happens to Pete at the blacksmith. So we get an 8 minus 1 is 7. So nothing happens there. Good, I guess. So he spends the 400 and the 2 Darkstone for Darkstone bullets for everybody, or well, you know, for the 2 people. Then he's going to spend the 700 and the 3 Darkstone for the inlay for the breaching gun. Nice. Is there anything else worth picking up there? I would like to get some armor for some of these people. And I think we can get some at the general store. So that might be something tomorrow. So we got a little bit, you know, we got some money left. We'll be able to see what... So, oh, and then we were going to purchase the tomb chest for 600, which is like just what we have here. And that is the absolute like last of our money, other than what Béchamel has to gamble with. I mean, literally, we've got $5 left. The way that worked, it was particularly close. May have to sell the charm to. Well, Béchamel will do well. She's gonna gamble just fine. And let's go ahead and actually do her gambling. So let's see what happens when she gets there at the gambling hall. In the box, an 8 minus 1 is 7, so nothing happens. There's just laughing, cheerful stuff going on. You know, there's some clothing that would be nice, I guess. You know, actually, there's nothing particularly amazing in the clothing here. You know, gambler's jacket, so once per adventure, recover D3 grit. Could be useful. Gold ring. Okay, well, yeah. Let's gamble first. So we're gonna pay $100. Let's do some brimstone craps. Make a luck 5+ test. She has 4 luck. Gets $100 for every 5+ rolled. She gets 1 success. She's gonna go ahead and spend a grit to re-roll these 3. So she's broken even, so all this is pure profit. 5+. She gets 2 more, so 200 more. Good. So that puts her back up to now up to $400. She went in with 200. And then last we've got the 5-card draw poker, which we can actually do 3 times per visit, unless I don't think that was added, was it? Do a quick skim. I know there was something about gambling. But I don't recall off the top of my head if there was something in particular that was going to be affected by it. Sorry to bother you folks and subject you to this, but I do not see anything. Oh, once per visit rather than 3 times per visit. Okay, so there was something. I thought there was something about that, you know, not, you know, sort of nerfing the amount. Once per visit. That is fine, though. So, she'll spend $50 to play the 5-card draw poker. So she's going to roll 5 dice. That represents her hand of cards. And then we bet again. And so what we want is we want 5 sequential numbers, or 4 of the same number. That's kind of what we want. See what we get. All right. Well, it's easy enough to get a full house with that. Gonna be tough to get 4 of a kind. Could she get sequential numbers? So 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's gonna be tough to change those. This actually, oh, that's a 6. That would need to change twice. Or change. Yeah, she can only change one of them. So she could get 3 of a kind. But the full house is better. So if we can't get 5 sequential numbers. I mean, we could grit. She could grit. She has 1 grit left. She could re-roll a couple of them and see what she gets. That is tough. She's got all this manipulation stuff. I mean, you know, she's got a fortune. She's got 3 fortunes. She can adjust 1 die up or down, and she's got a fortune to re-roll and a grit to re-roll. And of course, I said obviously the easiest thing is you want 5 sequential numbers. Oh, and then 4. So she gets it. Sorry, before I get ahead of myself, she wants to do an extra bet. And then you get a free reroll of any number of your dice anyway. Ooh, alright. So yeah, you know what? With what she's got, let's yeah, let's go ahead and bet. She can bet up to 250. Let's bet 250. Okay, so her bet's going to be 250. So leaves her with $100. That's the extra bet. So we'll be able to double, you know, hopefully double that. So we get a free reroll. So let's keep, you know what? Let's keep. If we want 4 of a kind, do we keep the 6s? Do we keep the 2s? Either 4 of a kind, yeah, as a cunning 3+ test. The Royal Flush will let you triple your bet instead of doubling. Or 4 of a kind is still a cunning 3+ test. The 2s aren't really helping us for the 4 of a kind, or the Royal Flush, right? Because we want 5 sequential numbers. So, well, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. We actually would need 1, 2, and the 3. You know what? Let's just re-roll all 3 of these. Let's go for a 4 of a kind. I don't think we can get the Royal Flush. Yeah, let's go for 4 6s. Well, I keep debating myself. You know what? The full house is so easy with a cunning 4+ test. Yeah, I'm gonna keep the 2s as well. Let's just try to get the 4. You know, and you know what? I'm not even gonna re-roll the 3. I am simply going to use a fortune point, to change that. Try to change that 3. I got 1 success. That lets me change it. I'm going to change it to a 2. Boom. There's a full house. That is all I'm going to do. So I'm not going to try to. It's just the difficulty. I think a 4+ with 5 dice should be good, and if I need to re-roll that, then I will re-roll that. And there's a success. So yeah, and I don't have to re-roll anything. So I'm going to get D6 times 25. She'll get D6 times 25. So she gets 25, which isn't great. Then she gets double her extra bet. So she's going to get 500. So boom. All of a sudden, big money. Plus, when she gambles, she gets an extra D6 times 50. So she gets an extra 200. All right, and we are pretty flush with cash now. We got like 1,000. She just made like 1,000, and of course she just gained some unwanted attention. But I think that's all the gambling we are going to do for this town stay. So what else are we going to do? All right, well that is the end of that day. We're going to come back here. Boom. So now Béchamel and Pete have to go to the doctor tomorrow. That would be the important thing. Let's consolidate all of this dark stone that's left over into the tune chest that we just purchased. So let's see if there's a town event. We are up to 3. There is not a town event. So let's finish this next day off by, Pete and Béchamel are going to go to the doctor's office. For anything else, what is Doc going to do? You know what? Doc's going to take the rest of the money that we don't necessarily need. So we're going to spend, we'll leave 1 corruption on Pete, because again, he can remove it. So 2 and 2 is 4. So we're going to need 400. I don't think we need to get anything else. So let's just take 400 between the two of them. And that leaves Doc with like 600 gold, plus they'll give him the Holy Charm if he needs to sell it for the extra 350. And let's see what kind of things Doc can get at the Smuggler's Den. So, but before that happens, we need to get 2 daily event cards. So let's see what happens for the daily event. And let's see what those gear cards are that we can purchase for each of our people. So the daily event is the Traveling Tonic Wagon. Purchase tonic, not really all that impressive. And we found something. Each hero can make a lore 4+ test to investigate. Gain 10 experience for every 4+ rolled. If you roll any 1s, take a d6 horror hits. If you roll any 6s, you discover that the miners have found something of value and are willing to sell it to you. Draw a world card to see where the object is from, and then draw an artifact from that world. And you can purchase the artifact for a d6 times 50. Alright, well hey, let's go ahead and do that. And let's do the 3 gear cards. Let's see what we get. So we can get some whiskey. We can get a Scafford buckle. Again with the Scafford cards. These were shuffled, I swear. And then what is the third one is a Mark of the Damned, +1 damage to demon enemies. Something that can slot in. Yeah, meh. I don't think any of those are particularly worthwhile to purchase for an extra 200 anyway. Alright, so, you know what? Every year, we're all going to make lore tests. There's 3+. If we get a 1, sure, we take some horror hits, but that's okay. So, Béchamel. Béchamel didn't succeed at all and got no 6s. You know what? She'll spend a grit. What the heck? Yeah, she'll spend a grit. She did get a 6 and she did get a 1, so she's going to take a d6 horror hits. Doesn't really matter, but it might. She's going to take 1 horror hit. Can she save it? She does. Alright, Doc, do you get any? Did you find anything? No. You did get some. You did get some experience for that. If you rolled a 6, you discover. You know what? Béchamel will spend a fortune, and she will make a luck test to see if she can increase that 5 to a 6. She can. So Doc will get an artifact, and let's see what Pete does. I'll kind of get this all out of the way for digging out artifacts. Béchamel's going to spend her other fortune to try to push that one up. Let's see what we get. We get options here, and that succeeds. So we can get 2 artifacts. And we can kind of choose between them, see if either one of them is going to be worthwhile. So let me dig out the world cards and the artifacts. Alright, so the other world we got was 1 mine artifact and 1 Jargano artifact, and we have gotten a Void Catcher. So whenever a darkness card is played, you can recover a grit, and a Totem of Dinar. Spirit Armor 4+. Requires a lower 3 or higher to use. So that is a good question. Well, of course, the Void Catcher might be really nice for Béchamel. Recover a grit, recover a fortune. You know, I'm all about that. Spirit Armor 4+ is going to be useful. The problem being, well, everybody has a 3 or higher lore, so we don't have a lot to spend unless we sell that Holy Charm, which would give us 5, 6, 7, 8, 950. Let's see how expensive they are. Actually, it's a D6 times 50. This actually makes them pretty cheap. So the Void Catcher only costs 100, and the Totem costs 200. I think we can afford that. So 300 to pick those up. Yes, sir. So what do we got? We got the Totem of Dinar. So the Spirit Armor. Who needs Spirit Armor? I guess... Béchamel has the lowest sanity, so let's give it to her for now. In fact, let's give them both to her. Yeah. Let's just give them both to her for right now. It is going to be a little bit of weight. She does have to be careful. She's only got strength of 2, so 5, 6, 7. So she's got 1, 2. She can always get rid of her starting pistol, though. So 1, 2, 3. So she's carrying 4 weight, which is okay. We haven't really bought stuff. We'll have Pete carry the tomb chest, with him being the strongest. Alright, so I think it's worthless for Doc to go actually into the smuggler's den, since we spent that money there. And that's not actually costing, like, you don't have to spend the day there. So you know what? He'll go ahead and send a telegraph. Sure. No, he's got crap for luck, though. I don't even know what he should do. You know what? I guess he can go to the saloon. He might as well. He's got some cunning. He'll go ahead and he'll gamble. Let's get a little bit of money while they're spending money at the doctor's office. So that's what we'll do. So let's see what happens to Doc at the saloon. He gets an 8, a tall tale. He can make a lore 5+ test and gain 10 experience for every 5+ rolled. So he's got 3 dice. He fails, so no, I'm not going to spend the grit on that. And then he wants to gamble, and he does have a little bit of money, so he's going to pay 100 for the Brimstone Craps. Oh no, we don't want to do Craps because we don't want to do luck. So he's going to pay 50 to do casual poker. He has a cunning of 4. I probably should have given him the looking glass. a 5+. So he broke even, and you know what? He'll use the grit. If I can get another one, does get another one. So we gained, we gained $50. Hey, every little bit helps, and that is what Doc did. And then I think this will probably be our last day in town. So let's find out what happens at the doctor's office for Béchamel and Pete. So for Béchamel, she gets a 6, 7, 8, so nothing happens. And Pete has a 6, which again is nothing happens. So at this point, they're just going to spend their money to treat corruption. So that's going to use up 400 from each of them, leaving Pete still with 1 corruption. But again, he gets to remove 1 automatically. So at the end of each adventure, so hopefully, that won't come back to bite him. But then we do need to see if they take any damage. Béchamel does not. Pete does not either. So that was a pretty competent doctor here in this town. Well, that's everything. We've got enough bandages. We've got bandages galore. So Béchamel's got a bandages and a whiskey. Pete's got a bandages and a whiskey. Probably could have, in fact, actually Doc can, and probably we'll spend $50 while he's at the saloon, and he will buy a whiskey as well. So everybody has a bandages and a whiskey, and then Doc has 2 more bandages in his doctor's bag, which will become 5 at the start of the next adventure. And that's it. So let's see if there's a town event. This should be day 4. There is a town event, so let's see what happens on this last day for the town event. And then we can go from there. A 6. 6 is spreading fear, so a town location is going to close. The campsite's going to dissipate and the hotel doubles their rate. Not a big deal. We're leaving this time anyway. So unfortunately, we didn't get any really upgraded equipment. And we've got the tomb chest, which is nice, which will help a little bit. We won't have to spend the money on corruption. Cross your fingers. We did get the inlay for the breaching gun for Béchamel, which will be very handy for her and the group, because again, that gives the stun markers, which reduces defense. And then, we've got the Void Catcher and the Totem of Dinar and the old map. All of which went to Béchamel. They just love her to death, I guess. Doc does have the Holy Charm. Pete has the Tomb Chest. But that's really what they gained. And then, of course, got rid of all that corruption. So, and they leveled up. So, awesome. I think that's it, folks. I know it's been a little long, and I apologize, but it is what it is. It's actually kind of good that a town event, town goes a little long. Part of that obviously was because of the lengthy leveling up that we did. We went through the charts. I kind of explained what was going on, so and what my thoughts were. So give me your feedback if you would like, and we can kind of talk about if there's some way we want to go. And I will let you guys go. It's been way too long, I think. So, thanks for watching, everybody. And, it was great to see people at Gen Con. Met some new people. Hopefully a few new subscribers. A few people joining our family of, following us on this adventure of the Apple Turnover Gang. So, and it was nice meeting some of you. It was nice meeting everybody that I met, and some of whom were subscribers. Didn't mean to say that there were people that I met that I wasn't glad to meet, but if that is how it came out. I'm rambling. I'm still tired and working back from Gen Con. So, thanks everybody. Let me just shut up now and continue. Thanks everybody for watching. I appreciate your patience, and I look forward to talking to you in the future. Bye.